Catfish Johnny's Restaurant, serving the Lake Pennsauken and surrounding areas since 1990. For the last 33 years, we have strived to serve great food at great prices and a friendly, casual atmosphere. If seafood isn't your thing, our burgers or wings are the best around. We have daily specials too. Check us out on Facebook or Instagram for more information. Welcome back to another edition of the Goblay Show. I'm your host, Billy Goble, and today we have a special guest. I don't want to give it away too soon, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce her. Her name is Miss Reba Mazak. Reba, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Billy. I'm so glad to be here and glad we finally got together.
Yes, it's taken not too long, but it's taken a little bit of time because we both have a very, very busy schedule. Mostly you, but I'm glad that you could, sit down and talk. And I wanted to, have you come on and highlight some of the things you've done because I know you personally, but for those who don't know you, we want to introduce you to them, and so that way they know when they hear that name, Reba Mazak. They know the face goes with the name. You know what I'm saying?
Perfect. Yes, I appreciate that.
So let's, what I always do is we'll try to open this up with, we're going to go back. Because I always, I have a lot of sports guys on here. So they have a lot of accolades and they're going to go, I played Little League and stuff like that. But we're going to go back and this is going to be a little bit different, but that's fine. And that's every show is different. What is something back in the day like where? Let's go way back and say, where is Reba Mazak originally from before she became a Mazak?
Right. Well, I was raised about 70 miles from here, east in Seminole County, on a ranch with my family. I'm the youngest of four, and we had cattle and citrus, and that was our livelihood. We did agriculture for a living. And being the youngest of four, I got to watch my siblings work alongside with my dad. And again, being the youngest of four and a girl, I got to spend a lot of time with my mom. And we would bring lunch to the cow pens. We would bring lunch to the hayfield and see to all of their needs while they were working. Because if you're in agriculture, you can understand that, having enough people is enough, and having too many is not good. So I kind of added the fourth wheel on there, if you would, in a lot of situations till I was about 15 or 16. And then I got, to really be active on the ranch and ride and drive the main tractors and things like that. But I was a big support system at a young age to a large family.
So you were the youngest of all boys?
Nope. We had a girl.
Oh, you had a girl. Okay,
yep.
I was going to say, because that there will make you tough.
Mm-hmm.
And I know you're a tough woman.
Yeah.
I mean, and not in a bad way. I mean, just like the total package. I mean, people that are raised around, like, I don't want to say hard stuff, but like ranching is not easy.
No, it's not.
A lot of people go, well, I'll just get me a ranch. I've got some acreage. I'm gonna put some fence up and maybe give me a couple cows.
Right.
And then they don't know the whole thing that goes along with it.
No, it's very deceiving from the front, and especially we look at the old westerns and how it just is such a showcase, sweetheart kind of story, and it is very appealing in so many ways. But there's so much hard work that goes into that, making sure about everything, whether it's the way the grass grows or the water that are given to the cattle, and the agriculture if you're growing crops. There's just so many things that play into that, and it's not just the hard work that you see at the end of the day. Like this week we shipped our calves, so it was like a culmination of this year's work rolled out. Mm-hmm. And but it wasn't just about that day. It's years getting to this. It is years of genetics that we have gone through and weeded out the good from the bad and vice versa to make sure that when that day came that we were able to capitalize on it as much as possible. So this year is a great year for high calf prices. The cattle business is very good this year. So just like so many of the other economic driven industries, we're on a high right now, and it's a great place to be.
Yeah, I'll say I've heard people taking their cattle, livestock to the market, and those say, well, it's better to be selling right now than buying.
Absolutely, it is. It sure is. It makes it hard to keep some cattle back, trying to build your herd numbers and things like that. You really want to watch every one of them go because the prices are so good. And we, again, have so many years of, just like last year, we had over 600 acres underwater from the hurricane that should have been grass for cattle.
Right.
So that really, we feel like it affected our, the weight of our calves this year when we sold them, but it definitely put us where we had to purchase a lot more feed, whether that was hay or bagged feed, to get our cattle through because we had lost all of that acreage. And we're blessed to have more acreage than 600, so we weren't devastated and had to sell. But there were a lot of people that had to cut their herds because of Mother Nature.
Right. Or you have to move them elsewhere. You have to go lease some land down somewhere where they're, because that 600 acres is underwater, you've got to move your, I don't want to say product, but it's your product.
It is.
It really is. Move your product to elsewhere so where they can get the nutrition and whatever they need to survive, not only survive, but
thrive.
Exactly. Yes. To thrive. So what was your first experience like? Remember, what's the first thing you thought of, or you can remember that being in this industry? Like, I think you might have said it, but how many generations are you talking about here? Right.
So I'm fifth generation.
Fifth generation. Okay, that's what I thought.
And I have grandsons, so we have 7 generations of our family.
Awesome.
And I again being the youngest of a large family, I can some of my first memories of cowboying and cattle and things like that is being at home anxiously waiting for my siblings and my dad to come home.
Right.
And they worked cattle 4 out of 5 days, depending on the time of year, but most every day that cow trailer left our property.
Right.
And so looking forward to them, getting home and the trailers pulling in and all of them getting out and talking about their day. We were a family of 6, obviously with my mom and dad, and dinners sitting around the dining room table were very important to our raising and our life. So even though I wasn't off horseback with them, when we sat down at the table, that's where we talked about our day,
right.
How things went, and the plan for tomorrow, and the plan for next year and the following year. Those were where the discussions happened.
I think you brought up a great point that a lot of people, they either say, "Oh, we're going to do this," or they don't. And it's gather around the family table, and there's something to that. I think that is a true piece of Americana. That is a cornerstone of holding down a family. Now, I'm not saying that you can't have a family without it, but I'm just saying it's a vital piece to have everybody there at the same time to get their own. How's your day? How was your day? Or what's your opinion? What do you think we should do? And it's almost like a board meeting. Basically for your family. And I think it's a valuable piece that we lack today. People are, and listen, I'm guilty myself. We are so busy, but we as my family and I, we make time. We try to make time to sit down, and my wife will cook the meal. And if I'm coming from football practice or whatever, it might be 8:30 at night, or she might have already eaten, but we're sitting down,
spending time together,
trying.
Yep.
And I take pride in that. I think it's such a great thing that we lack still, that a lot of people are just going, they miss it. And they're like, well, I miss sitting down. All you got to do is change that.
That's right.
That's all you got to do.
Yep.
And understandably, I know we're busy, and I know sometimes you work late, or you have my job's a certain time, and, parents are working opposite shifts. I get all that. But if there's a chance, it's almost like, all you got to do is do it. You know what I mean?
That's right.
So those family meetings are important.
They are.
Especially, a family of 6 is, that's a big family.
It is. It absolutely is.
Now I've heard of bigger families, obviously, and they had farms. I forgot. I was listening to somebody, and they were a family of 17.
Wow.
and they lived in Miami. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I can't imagine. Like, can you just imagine 17? And not even like where we're gonna sleep,
Right.
just like who's gonna wash the clothes and what do we feed the children?
That's
I bet they had a big pot and they just made stews, and that's all I could think of. I'm like, you're not going to cook 17 steaks.
Right. Well, I hope they do.
Well, I hope they do too, but and you're probably not going to go out to eat.
Right.
Because if you think waiting for a family of 4 getting your food is long enough, you're like,
Yeah, you brought the whole restaurant.
well, should we put the appetizers in right now or not? But I love that sense, like you're talking about the cattle and your family and stuff. That is when I said about being a product. At the end, when you're shipping the calves out and they're going, and they're going to benefit other people, that's a sense of pride you have. And I know you do, because I would do the same thing. I'd be like, look, we're making a difference.
We are.
Because there's not many people that still do that.
That's right.
So you have to do that.
We feel that way. We feel like we're so blessed to be able to be stewards of the land and the cattle, that are put here to feed the country, feed the world.
Right.
Beef is in such demand, whether you're eating on the high end or the lower end because you have 17 head of kids. And it's not the lower end, it's just the more economical part, for feeding your family.
Absolutely.
But beef is such a great resource for nutrients and protein, that we need in our everyday life, and making people more aware of that, I think is something that, our industry, I belong to the cattle women locally, state, and nationally. I belong to the cattle men the same way, locally, state, and nationally, and Farm Bureau, and all of, all the agriculture entities that pertain to my life.
Right.
And we support that and are so appreciative of the work that they do to get the word out there and let people know how important, our product is. And our product is just that. We work for the consumer. We work for the people that walk into these big stores wanting beef. We work for the people that go into these boutique meat markets that are so popular and coming into tell the story. I think that is where people are so interested. When I get the opportunity to tell people about our family, that I'm a 5th generation, that my grandsons work cattle with us and ride and feed cattle and show cattle, and it just piques their interest. And all of a sudden we've got somebody that, like, wow, we want to be customers of theirs. We want to see what these people do, and we know that they take care of their cows and they take care of their land, and we want to be their customer. So that really matters. And again, those boutique meat markets are just a coming thing, and we look forward to providing meat there, but also the big stores. We've got to have somewhere for all those semis that we ship this week to go. And there's people that live on in a concrete city that don't have the opportunities that we do, and we've got to feed them. We've got to get that beef in there to them. So it's a really important part of our lives, marketing, letting people know our true story and what stewards we can be.
Now, when you started doing all this, did you at one point, did you ever like think of wanting to do something else, or was it like, this is what I'm meant to do, or was it like, I think I want to cut hair, or you know what I mean, like, or you know what I mean, like, or I want to run a business or something, but doesn't have to do with cattle.
Right. No, I was raised in a little town called Geneva, and went to Oviedo High School. Our county seat was Sanford. It's it was at the time a very rural part of Florida, just like Sumter County is.
Right.
And they're in that county at that time. They're, the people who you either worked for the power company or you worked for the school board. You worked for the county.
Yeah.
So it's very similar to where our county, or where Sumter County was 25, 35 years ago.
Right.
Those were the big employers. So my goal was to graduate, be a school teacher, be married, and hopefully have some cattle, because we love that. That's what I knew. Yeah. That's what I watched my family do. It's what I watched my cousins do. It was the only way of life that we really knew, that the opportunity was there. We didn't travel a lot. at all. Again, we're a family of 4. In fact, the first time I ever left the state of Florida, saw snow, or got on an airplane, I was 16 years old.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that something?
That's great. Hey, listen, I know like 30-year-olds has never left Florida.
Yeah.
So I can imagine.
Yeah, it was a big deal. And I did all of that in one trip, and it was for the cattle industry.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it was for at the time we were called the Cowbells, and we had a summer business meeting on the national level that my mom was involved in, and so we flew to Denver, Colorado. Oh, wow. I had a cousin who lived there, and I spent the day with him, and he took me to the top of the mountain so I could see snow in July. But what a great story, about what the industry has brought to my life, the exposure that it's given to me. And you were asking, did I think I would do this? I had hoped I would do this, and so when Paul and I got married, we knew that we wanted to be in the agriculture business, but we also knew that we started out with 7 acres and a single wide mobile home in Lake County, and we own or finance both of those things, and we're working to make that happen. Right. So we knew we had to work outside of our home to make sure that we could be in the agriculture business. Right. So that's what we did until we were able to, progress on with our life. We bought and sold a few places. When Rebecca was a baby, we moved every 6 months for 3 years. Oh, wow. So that was a lot, but turning things over, just trying to make sure that we could better ourselves. And, at some point you're working for yourself, and then it just changes and you're working for your children, for what you want your children and your grandchildren to have. Yeah. And I think Paul and I, early in life, saw that and wanted that for them. I know all of us want better for the next generation, no matter if they're our children or not. Right. But it just resonated in us at a young age, somewhere along the line. I don't know who asked who to marry each other. We were just dating, and then all of a sudden it was like, okay, now when we get married, this is what we're going to do. And we're going to stop going out to eat because we're saving money for property payments, and then, have the girls, and it's like, okay, now we've got to, make sure that we've got allotments for the girls, and that we are seeing a future for them. And it's come tenfold for us. We have been so blessed to provide a life of agriculture for the girls. And they're, of course, married now and have their own families and have their own cattle operations and are working outside of their homes as well. So it is something that we've been able to want for our girls, and been blessed that they want it also.
Well, I can tell just by the way you talk about them how proud you are of them, and that's not hard to see. But you hit on something when you were talking about you wanted to work with your children. You wanted to provide and make sure they had something and like that. And like that's every parent's dream or wish, right? But it reminds me of Jerry Jones for the Cowboys. Okay. So when he bought the Cowboys, he already owed like $500,000, and he was an oil guy, and he finally hit the big time, the one that spewed the oil that he was been waiting on for this, and he bought the Cowboys. And he said the only reason why he bought the Cowboys is so his kids could work with him. I mean, and they all the kids work for the Cowboys. They're all either like, player management or whatever, like they do the contracts. He's got them involved heavily.
That's incredible.
And he says, there's have you seen Badland?
I don't think so.
It's with Friday Night Lights, the Billy Bob Thornton.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so Jerry Jones comes in there and he's talking and he says, look, he goes, I'm pretty proud of my Cowboys and what we've done there and oil and gas, but he's not as proud as he was when he got to work with his kids. And that speaks so much volume for what he's accomplished. Now, a lot of people don't like what he does or the decisions he makes, but that's part of the job. Because he's not only the owner, he's the general manager, he's pretty much everything. I said, well, it's hard to fire the general manager when he's the owner. Right. He kind of makes his own rules up, but just the sense of family value I wish more people thought of that. And I'm not saying they don't, but you just don't see it as much as what I'm saying. They may do it quietly, but there's a lot of people that want to involve their kids in everything they do. And that's a great thing. That keeps the family close.
It does.
And so when you said that, it reminded me of that, because it makes you smile when he says that, because he also owns the most valuable franchise in the world. So he's comparing, he's like, that and what I've done, all that in the past is nothing compared to just being able to work with my kids. And so it's great to be with family. If you ever get a chance to do that, I highly recommend it. I mean, they always say, you can't work for family.
It's a double-edged sword, without a doubt.
It is. It truly is. But I think if you do it the right way, and I think you have to be completely open about everything. You can't have it your way.
Right.
Because if you want to bring somebody into the equation, you have to understand what they want as well, like what they're thinking.
Right.
If not, why don't you just hire somebody outside?
Right. Yeah.
Because you're going to tell them what to do anyways. You might as well just...
Parenting adult children is very different, and involving them in your business or parents into the children's business is so different, because you've got to try and separate that role.
Absolutely.
And it's hard. It's very hard. And not saying we haven't been through all of those challenges as well,
Right.
but there are so many times, we visit, spending time together, sitting around the table talking about what bulls we need to buy, or we're going to a bull sale and we sit down as a family and look at the catalog and talk about all of those things.
Gotcha.
So we make the most of our time together like that. But also at the end of the day, it's like, okay, I'm going home. Y'all do what you want, and I'm going to do what I want. It'll all be okay tomorrow, but we're going home. And it's such a blessing.
Duto Realty is a homegrown business with an eye for getting the job done right. From football games to Sunday school and everything in between, these ladies care about our community and the people in it. Helping buyers and sellers in all of Florida with all types of transactions, including residential, commercial, farm, or vacant land. They do it all. They even offer auction services and sellouts to always get the job done right. Promotional consideration paid for by the following: Travelin' Tom's Coffee Truck, the delicious mobile coffee truck that brings you the caffeination inspiration you need. We deliver signature coffee products like our Nitro Cold Brew and Caramel Frappe to any occasion or festivity. And for those who don't like coffee, we offer a variety of delicious hot chocolates, energy drinks, lemonades, and teas. That's Travelin' Tom's Coffee Truck. Whether your water is supplied by a public municipality or a private well, for residential or commercial use, Purified Water Services LLC has the solutions to provide you with simply clean water. We offer a complete line of professional water filtration equipment and accessories. Soft water makes a difference you can see and feel. Water heater and appliances last longer with less maintenance. Iron and H2S filters eliminate iron stains and offensive rotten egg odors, and protects your water softener equipment from iron fouling. No matter what your problem is, Purified Water Services LLC has a solution. Contact Kenny Williams at 352-446-2709. Promotional consideration paid for by the following: Webster Ace Hardware and Farm Supply are generous sponsors for today's podcast. They have been a family-owned business for 27 years. This helpful hardware store sells items such as archery, Ariat clothing and boots, Wrangler jeans, case knives, Hammond's candies, and live fishing wear. They also have a full selection of hardware, RV supply, propane, Ben Moore, Royal & Clark, and Kenningston paints. You need a barn or fencing job done? Custom barn kits and roofing metal are provided at your local Ace Hardware store. What about a new grill for the yard? Traeger, Big Green Egg, Weber, and Blackstone are found here, along with all the accessories to go with them. Stock up your workshop with DeWalt, Milwaukee, or Craftsman tools. They got you covered. Remember to go to ace.com to shop their entire line to have items shipped directly to the store. Pat's Taps at Catfish Johnny's. Pat's Taps is Lake Penosofsky's newest tap room, offering 14 rotating craft beers on tap. We also offer bottled domestic beers, seltzers, ciders, and wine, as well as a variety of appetizers and puff. Our family-friendly tap room is a great place to come hang out and enjoy some one-of-a-kind craft beer. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, or the Untapped app. Looking for custom apparel that stands out? Welcome to the Stitching Heifers, Bushnell's premier embroidery and custom apparel shop. From custom hats, t-shirts and jackets to unique gifts and business branding, we specialize in high quality, personalized apparel that reflects your style and vision. Step into our exclusive hat bar and design your one-of-a-kind custom hat, perfect for personal flair or promoting your brand. At the Stitching Heifers, we're committed to bringing your ideas to life with exceptional service and attention to detail. Whether it's for you, your business, or a thoughtful gift, we're your trusted partner for all things custom in the heart of Sumter County. Stop by today or visit us online to get started. The Stitching Heifers, custom style, local heart. When it comes to building in Sumter County, experience matters. From remodels, barns, additions, and accessory buildings to creating the custom home of your dreams, our Hogan Construction delivers quality you can trust. Russell is hands-on and on-site daily, going above and beyond to ensure the project isn't just completed, but crafted to perfection. He doesn't just meet expectations, he exceeds them. For a builder who puts integrity and craftsmanship first, call R. Hogan Construction today at 352-793-7660. Russell Hogan Construction. Built on tradition, built to last.
And again, you asked me, did you know this is always what you wanted to do? It is what I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And we have just been so blessed to continue on that path,
Right.
that we saw for our family,
Right.
For Paul and I growing our business. You talked about, you can't fire the GM because you're the owner kind of thing. So, as you know, we also have a lime rock mine on our ranching land down in Maybell. And when we got that going, we knew nothing about mining. So we had other companies that are professionals do that for us. And then years rocked along, and then we had the opportunity to buy the mining business. That was what was best for our family and for the business at the time. So we did. We didn't know anything about it, but buddy, we went right after it.
Right.
And we had a crew of, a small crew of people that worked for us and that we cared for and loved and treated like family. And if something was broke down, you would find Paul and his dad back there getting after it. He'd be
Right.
digging out a crusher, and at 4:00 in the morning when the scale house girl didn't show up, I'd be up there scaling trucks, and your employees and your customers see all of that and they're like, gosh, these people own this place. They're so invested. Golly, this is where we want to do business. This is who we want to talk to, because that was the owner's wife in that scale house window. So much like, I always tell this little joke, and I tell it probably a little stronger than what I'm going to tell it here on the radio. But 4:00 in the morning, truckers are lined up to get loaded out. So it's just usually the scale house girl and a loader in the back and trucks everywhere. And so I'm up there just scaling out these trucks, and, a trucker pulls up there and he was just complaining and just saying all this, that, and the other, and had no idea who I was, because that it doesn't matter. I'm a scale house girl at that point. Yeah. And so I tell you what, I will let the owner know. And, he looked at me really crazy, and I said, yes, that's my husband. And then he was just nice as pie, and so was the 10 truckers behind. So obviously he got on the radio and said, that's the owner's wife, don't tell her anything.
Oh my gosh.
But being invested in what you believe in, is so important, and you see success in different ways. It does not by any means have to always be on the monetary side of that,
Right.
Getting to work side by side with your family, whatever that means. It might be a cousin or a brother or sister, mother, dad, whatever, someone that you care for greatly. That there is such gratification in that, and succeeding together. It is a wonderful feeling. This morning, on my drive over here, it was so foggy. Just couldn't really see good, and it's later in the morning, So I texted my girls and said, golly, we had such a beautiful day when we shipped our calves this week. We picked the perfect day because it had rained on Monday and Tuesday morning. early, and Wednesday morning it was just beautiful. And if we'd have picked Friday, we wouldn't even be able to see the cattle till 9 o'clock probably, which would have really messed things up. So you got to be grateful for the little things and find the silver lining, because it's there. You just have to look for it.
Right. Well, I think a lot of people have a misconception of being successful is just making the most amount of money. And I can tell you that when people get together, especially families, I know there's some, if I would be the same way. Now, don't get me wrong, the money would be nice, but if you were comfortable, you never made that extra money, but you got to spend time with your family, I think that means the most. I think that means more than any kind of paper or any kind of valuable asset.
I agree. I fully agree. And really trying to, we have 2 girls and they're really close and their lives intertwined, but they're separate business wise, and both very good at what they do. And they both have 2 boys. So we have 4 little boys that run together, and, just having them together is what matters, whether we're riding around feeding cattle or we're somewhere enjoying a dinner. And it, as you said, it doesn't, they can just be swimming in the swimming pool and I am a happy woman. They and the girls know, they're like, Mom, if you'll just watch the boys, we'll go take care of this. I'm like, you got it, because I'm happy and they're happy.
Yep, absolutely.
And you need to find what brings you joy.
Yeah.
And then capitalize and do that.
Absolutely.
And again, it doesn't have to be monetary. Yes, that helps. But we need to find joy in something that is not material, something that is real,
genuine, like something within that you can pass on to your kids or grandkids or their kids, whatever. Something that they're going to take, and it's going to be it's way more valuable than any kind of tangible object. Just like I would rather teach. I've got 4 nieces and now 2 nephews. So I would rather teach them something that be something beneficial in the long run, or something that might, God forbid, save their life. You know what I mean? Like, not save their life, but something where they get in a situation, they go, oh, I know what to do. Exactly. Versus, oh, here's $20. Go get away from me. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, look, people are different. People are different, and I'm not shaming anybody. I'm just saying it's just the way that I would prefer it, and that's just my own personal opinion. And there's some people that go, I used to think gift cards were like the most like, whoever made this is the most miserable person in the world, because there's no authenticity, there's no personal connection. It's just like, hey, here's a gift card. But I have used gift cards because you get in that part where you go, I don't know what to get them. And so you go, I know what they like. Mm-hmm. And I can't tell you, this is probably, it's kind of happened to everybody at least once. Somebody buys you a gift and you're like, oh, thank you. You're very appreciative because they shouldn't have done that. But you're like, what is it? Or I'm never going to use it. And they just don't know. They were just being like, hey, I'm going to get them this. So I take it upon myself to try to make sure that if I'm buying a gift for a certain niece or nephew or my own kids, it's personal. It's personalized, where I go, wow, they really like, it'd be like if Jason and I, we follow the Cowboys. It'd be like if I bought him an Eagles hat. He'd be like, what am I supposed to do with this? Like he would be like, thank you, but what am I going to do with it? I'm not going to wear it. I would be the same, like, thank you.
Right.
Let's just shove that off to the side. That's kind of a stronger version of that. But you see what I'm saying, though. Like, I would rather teach them something that I'll give you an example. A couple months ago, Jace is in the yard, and he's Nicole likes to, her therapy is she's going to water the plants and stuff. She loves gardening and stuff, so she's out there, and I'm sitting on the porch with him. I'm watching like, hey, you're doing a great job out there. No, but she loves it, And so Jason's like, I'm gonna help you. I'm gonna help. He goes up there and grabs the hose, and this hose it's got to be like almost 150 feet. Feels like it. And he's pulling. So he gets this idea, I'm just going to yank it. Well, the hose bib that comes on the house has seen some better days. So he yanks it, and all of a sudden he has this. Now I can't see it because it's on the side of the house, but I can see his face, and he has this freaked out look, like, oh my gosh. And he starts yelling, Billy. And I'm like, oh. So I'm like, hold on a minute. And I'm like, no, get up on him, walk over them, like, and water's just gushing like a hydrant. I'm like, oh. I was like, oh my gosh. So growing up, that was Dad's job. Now it's mine. You know what I mean? Like,
That's
I mean,
right.
where's
the water cut off?
Right. Yeah. I still don't know where the water cutoff is. But I was able to, so I went to turn the gate, the handle, and it just breaks off of my hand like it's just dry rotted. It should have been replaced years ago. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So I went and got my tools, and Jace realized, he's like, you can't be yanking. I got upset, and I just, but I didn't let him go long, because I was almost scared to death. Like, I'm not going to get this thing cut off, and we're being charged by the gallon.
Yeah, meter's just spinning.
So I'm like, oh my gosh. So when all was said and done, and the water dried, I went over to him and I was like, hey, look, what did we learn? Because that's the most important part. What did we learn out of this? And he's like, well, I was pulling the hose too hard, and I was like, yep, okay. So did we learn not to do that? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, if that's the least of my worries right now, that's the most thing you're going to get in trouble with or whatever. I'm like, I think I'm doing all right. Yeah. But I told him, I was like, look, you're going to do way more dumber things than that, but you don't know till you know. And that's the fact, is you got to keep, you move on, you do every day. And it's like, it's not just him learning, I'm learning too. Like, right. So we coincide together. We were like, that's why I told him, I was like, listen, it's all good, I'll fix it, but man, we got to make better decisions than that. You know what I mean? Like, and so it's just one of those things. It's a learning process that you are not taught. Like you said earlier, kids don't come with a instruction manual. And I was going to say, you're talking about the two girls being, they're being completely opposites, and they're raised into the same house. Isn't that weird?
It's amazing
how you can just have two different personalities, and now,
Yeah. Teaching children by example, whether you are at the age that you are parenting, or parenting at the age that I am, it is what it is. Yeah. I mean, as well as I do, we have learned by example.
Right.
The best lessons we've learned has been by example. Just like pulling that, the best thing you could have told him 10 times, don't pull that too hard.
Yep,
don't pull
absolutely.
that too hard. But when he pulled it out of the lock, he will not do that again.
He'll
pretty
never
sure.
forget it.
That's
right.
Exactly right. In so much of our life, in not just our own kids, cultivating the community.
Mm-hmm.
You have a great role in that, being a coach. You are seen not only by your family here at home, you're seen by all of those football kids and older, young men, and get the opportunity to show by example, whatever that means. And I feel like with us, growing up in this small community with the girls, we have had that opportunity as well. Mm-hmm. Whether it was with agriculture, how the kids that would come to the house, because we had a great place to be. They could get out in the pasture, they could ride and run and just have a big time. But when they came back to the house, and of course we would feed them and everything like that,
right.
They knew that everybody needs to be quiet. Miss Reba's going to say the lesson, mm-hmm. and then we can eat.
Right.
So the example that I set as just a young parent because that's what I did with my kids. So, we got 40 kids here. We're still going to do that.
Right.
And then, so 10 years later at a barbecue, all the kids are out of school. They all have little kids running around. I am not in my own turf. I'm attending as a guest somewhere. And it got time to eat. And one of those young men said, all right, Mr. Reba's going to say the blessing, and then we'll eat.
Right.
And it meant so much to me to know that I had that impression on him. And so when I want people to know that I am a faithful woman as well, and I want that to be part of the legacy that I live and the legacy that I leave, whether it is with people who have been around my children or my children and my grandchildren, and leading by example and learning together is a huge part of that, no matter our roles in life.
Right. Well, you definitely, the last name means a lot. I tell our kids all the time, you've got two identities on New Jersey. You've got one on the front, that's your team or whatever you're playing for, and on the back's your last name. And you can't let both of them down. Either you play for them, but you don't let them down. You got to do it. And as simple as that is, it's so true, because a lot of people, I was not a great student in school. And I've said this so many times. When I was a substitute teacher, I was like, listen, you're going to take this serious because I did it. And I know how important it is. So that was my community service, like my give back to the community was being a substitute teacher. And I would tell them how important it was. And I'm like, guys, but you also don't realize when you don't do good in school, whether it's behavior or academically, people notice. And they're not going to forget that last name. So I've had people, my sister tells a story where Jim Roberts was our teacher in South Center High. And I had him first. My sister was 2 grades behind me. And of course, he survived the year with me. But I loved history. That was one of my best classes. I was just a nut. And so when he did the role the first day, and he gets to Stacy Goblay at the time, he's like, Goblay, oh my gosh. Yeah. And she's like, sir, I can assure you that I'm nothing like my brother. Yeah. And I'm just like, I didn't know how to be. I was like, what do you mean by that? Like, I thought I was doing okay. Yeah. But your name and your upbringing and how you respond to that, how you carry that on means so much more than you think. Absolutely. Do you know what I'm saying? It goes so much further than just a role that you're calling. Yep. Because like I said, you can say somebody's name, and some names they stick like that. You're like, oh, so and so. You're like, oh my gosh, yes, I know them. Mm-hmm. And then there's something like, you can tell. You can ask anybody. You can ask somebody. Hey, do you know this person? And they're either going to go. There's 3 things. They're either going to go, I don't know them. They're going to go, oh yeah, they're really nice. Or they're going to go, oh,
yeah, I know them.
Yeah, okay. Mm-hmm. Like, what do they do this time?
Right. Yeah. On the national level, when I was president of American National Cattlewomen in 2022, I got the opportunity to go and speak. I spoke to over 15 states. Nice. Representing all of what you just said.
That's awesome.
I represented Florida. I represented Sumter County. I represented the Mazak family, and I represented the Yarborough family that I was born into, and that's how I felt about it.
That is awesome.
I had, that's who I was. That's who I am. Yep. I am all of those people, and so getting to speak and tell people about Florida, about Sumter County, and of course that was just after COVID, so everybody was, we love your governor. Yeah, y'all have the greatest state ever, right.
And he didn't shut us down.
Right. You had it was especially then, because we were such an open state at that point. But I really was so blessed to tell the Florida history of agriculture. That we had cattle well before Texas did, and that is something that is so misconceived. But I stood up there as all of those people, and representing our county and my family and all of that. So I wasn't wearing a jersey with my name on it, but I did carry all of that and all of that representation. And I feel quite confident that in 2023, the year after I was done, that any hurricane that hit Florida or Florida was mentioned, that all of those people were like, oh, that's where that lady was from. I remember she told us that, because people don't associate the agriculture industry with Florida.
Right.
So I really felt like it was, and it was my job. It was a volunteer job. It was my job to talk about agriculture and to talk about the American National Cattlewomen.
Right.
And telling my story, getting to tell those people that I have 2 daughters and 4 grandsons. And, if the Lord's willing and their mama didn't oversleep, which they don't, but they're in school right now, and everybody would laugh, it's just something to relate, to say, oh yeah, this lady's taking time away from her home and relying on her family to care for their interests there so that she can go and talk about cattle and promote our industry and make sure that the next generation of people know, and that the politicians in Washington, D.C. know the incredible amount of income that cattle bring to our state and that they bring to our country and how important it is. So it matters who you are and who you stand for.
Right.
So there's a great country song that says you've got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything.
Absolutely.
And there is no truer words than that. And carrying on, whether that's your family, your love for football, your stand in agriculture, your stand for being a teacher, whatever it is, you've got to believe it. And I think that goes back to at the beginning when you and I were talking about finding what brings you joy.
Right.
The reason that I am so passionate about agriculture and the cattle business because I love it. But the reason that I get to speak and I'm possibly a little bit eloquent and good at it is because I have a passion for it.
Yep.
Because I love it and it's something that we do that I can just talk about it. And it brings me joy to be able to do that and to share our story, to talk about the love we have for the industry and for our family. And it means a lot to me to be able to share that. And if it strikes a chord with someone and they buy an extra set of, steaks this week, that's wonderful. Or if they just think about the free green spaces that we have and the importance that it has and take that into consideration.
I think a lot of people, there's a lot of misconception about the beef industry altogether. Because and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but this is the way I have heard people talk, is they all think that every single cattle out there is being mistreated, that they don't have enough room to live, they're in a 4x4 pen, and they're fed in almost like they're on bed rest. You know what I mean? Like they're just laying there like, feed me, just like, you know what I mean? And half of these people that say that have never driven around, even like just say our state, have never driven around and seen. It's amazing. You can go to Orlando and there's over by the Gaylord Palms, there is a pasture of cattle. And I'm like, how can people say that they don't have enough room? There's literally a pasture in Orlando right by the Gaylord Palms. I'm like, and I would drive by that and I would laugh every time I'd see it because I'm like, people are amazed. Like we had cattle. We didn't have a lot of cattle, but we had cattle. They were more like pets, And so I would tell, we've got cows. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you got cows? Like it was like a Tyrannosaurus Rex or something, like something some kind of extinct animal. I'm like, guys, they're everywhere.
Right.
Our county used to have more cattle than people.
Yeah.
So they would never understand that.
No, it's hard. That misconception is humongous. Yeah. And that is why I would do what I do. That's why I love to talk about it, because as you said, they have this, Tyrannosaurus Rex idea about us. And then here I am, a woman, a mom, a grandma, and I have cattle. Is how they're like, oh my gosh, they're not those horrible people.
Yeah.
Because I just told them about carrying my grandsons out to the, to the pens or riding side by side with them and going to the football games with them.
Yep.
We are community people.
Absolutely.
Agriculturists are the people who are serving in these volunteer organizations to better our industry, but also in our community.
Yep.
All the leadership programs we go through, through our organizations, whatever they may be, only makes us stronger leaders back at home.
Absolutely.
And I really feel that is so strong. I mean, you run your gamut through your organizations, from the bottom to the top, if that is your desire. And then you're like, golly, I have all this knowledge and I have some more to give. Where can I give it?
Right.
Can it be at the school? Can it be in the PTO? Can it be in the Chamber of Commerce? How can I help grow my industry and my community?
Right.
And I really think that grassroots parts matter. And I think the more that the grassroots people speak up about whatever organization in the industry that they're passionate about, makes a huge difference.
You said earlier about you being passionate, not just what you just said, but passion. You showing passion and how you want to pursue. You've always wanted to pursue this. And there's an old saying, like, you're never good at something you don't like. Mm-hmm. So you have to like it in order to be good at it or decent at it, because you're not gonna. That's why I'm horrible at math. I hate math. Yeah. I mean, I can add and whatever the basic stuff is, but you give me geometry, I'm like, no way, I'm not doing that. I'm not saying I can't do it. I don't want to do it. Right. There's a difference.
There is absolutely, and it shows.
Yep.
There are other people that want to sit down and just figure all that out.
Absolutely.
Pi squared, all that kind of stuff. And you have your specialties and they have theirs.
Absolutely.
And it takes us all, though, to make the world go round. Mm-hmm. Well, I spoke earlier about, being the scale house person and loader operator. Those are not glorious jobs. But without them, the rock doesn't get across the scale.
Yep.
The nutritionist that works to try and help us know what kind of feed to feed cattle when we don't have the water, when we do have the water, the mineral, all those scientist geeks, if you will. That's what they are to me, science, because that's not my forte.
Right.
But we got to have them just as much as we've got to have the people horseback.
Right.
Right. It takes us all to make the world go round. And we need to all recognize that and understand that.
Thanks for watching part 1 of this 2-part podcast. Check out full episodes on YouTube and Spotify.